is Jabin, and you are watching rptv. Toronto's housing crisis continues to push working families, seniors, and youth to the edge, and in neighborhoods like Regent Park, the need for deeply affordable housing remains urgent. On July 24th, Toronto City Council approved more than $245 million in funding, grants, and incentives to fast-track over 10,800 new homes across the city, including nearly 4,000 rent-geared to income and affordable units.
And this bundle of reports show the action we're taking on building housing, and building housing that people can afford. First, we have a report that advanced 39 housing projects with over 10,000 new homes, including almost 4,000 rent-controlled, affordable, and rent-geared to income homes. And at a time when the market is slow, now is the time when our government should be taking action to get these homes built, which is why we're providing grants and support for these proponents.
City Council's approval includes nearly $86 million in capital grants to create over 3,200 new rental homes, $17 million in interest-free loans to community housing providers for pre-development work, and tax relief measures for over 1,000 affordable units, all aimed at keeping long-term rents within reach. Council also launched a new housing development office, a single point of accountability for housing delivery on city-owned land, like many of the lots that have helped shape the new Regent Park. This office will work to reduce red tape, strengthen coordination with partners like TCHC and Create.to, and ensure mixed income housing is delivered with community services, green spaces, and amenities. Mayor Chow introduced the new executive director of this office.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome Hugh Clark, who is heading the city's new housing development officer, who's joining us, to his first council meeting. Hugh comes to us from the private sector. I know him from the Allied because it was the Kings, where 99 projects got developed within 10 years, and the entire Spadina King area delivering market and affordable housing, as well as retail and office space across Toronto. We're excited to welcome him to the City of Toronto, where he can bring that experience to get more housing built.
At the July 24th City Council meeting, Mayor Olivia Chow introduced 3 key motions tied to the housing agenda.
Now on to my motions. My first motion asks the city manager to transmit my letter to the federal housing minister, Greg Robertson, on behalf of all of us, and it basically spelled out all the ambitious progress we've made. I want folks to know that we are on target to build 61,000 homes, which is the target set. It's actually more than the target that was set to us by the Housing Accelerator funds of the federal government. This year alone, we built 25,000 new homes that we're helping to build, are more than a third of Ontario's forecast housing starts. We are the biggest builder in the country. We are approving applications 80% faster. And there are housing developers and home builders that are just praising how fast the city are moving. We are expanding permissions for more homes, which creates potentially to add 61,000 more homes. Avenues, 12 stories or higher or lower, but with 60 units. In fact, it's so ambitious that there are home builders that are making modular housing so that they can help us build faster. And as we continue the dialogue on the next steps of the Housing Accelerator Fund and how we work together to build more housing, I will maintain a very good, close working relationship with the Minister of Housing, and the City of Toronto will continue working with our great partners whether it's provincial and federal government, and the private sector to build more homes. My next motion builds on a great member's motion by Councillor Myers to exempt all units in the sixplex, not just first four, and then from development charges, making it easier, simpler, cheaper for them to build. Last council, we approved them as of right for 9 wards, with the options for other councils to join in, but we need to find a way to make these projects financially viable. So recently I was in Scarborough, where I met Sharon, a woman who lived in the sixplex. She liked the option of a low-rise missing middle home, and she said she had neighbors in the building that made her feel like she's part of a family. And it was a typical Scarborough residential street with single-family homes. So let's make it easier to build sixplexes, and the people of Toronto will begin to see that, this can be part of my neighborhood too, because they fit quite nicely into neighborhoods. And they give people another options between single-family homes and high-rises. My final motion expand on the recent initiative by city staff to develop pre-approved building designs for laneway and garden suites. These are simple, cost-effective options for homeowners. If they're interested to add more units to their homes, let us show them the model, make it easier for them to build, make it cheaper, more affordable for them to build. So I'm requesting that staff work with Toronto's architectural community to develop pre-approved designs for 4plexes and 6plexes. Let us work on multiple fronts, pulling all the levers, get housing of all types built in this city, especially those that people can afford. And there's much more work to be done, and we have a very, very ambitious start already. Thank you.
Thank you.
After Mayor Chow presented the motions, several councillors weighed in, raising questions about implementation timelines, design standards, and the affordability impact of the proposed fee reductions.
What's the cost in foregone development fees for all these exemptions?
I believe it's about 200 million, am I correct? Now, we're not getting any of the fees anyway, because they're not building. The building industry have gone to a halt. So there are 2 programs. One is in November of last year, approved in December, and we were able to approve only 8,000 of them. We're asking the federal government and the provincial government to help us exempt the development fees, and that would be over $1 billion if they come in and join us. If they don't, we're not going to spend that money. Oh, well, it's not the money that we are not going to get.
So was it 200 million? Is that the number?
I'm not sure about that. It is 2.8 million, I'm sorry.
2.8 million?
2.8 million of money that we have not received.
So, sorry, so I just want to be clear.
There are 2
It seems
programs.
like a very low number.
Wait, hang on, there are 2 programs, hang on.
Okay, sorry.
There are one program that is delaying the development charge. We don't collect if they're building condominiums. That's only 3,000 units. We are mandated by the provincial government to do that anyway.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, you're not worried about the later development charges. You're not talking about the condos.
The ones that we eventually get the money for, I don't care about. I'm talking about the saying we're exemptions, pure exemptions. What's the
pure exemptions of, if it's what we have afforded so far, which is 8,000, is 2.8 million. And what we cannot afford, but the applications are in, shuffles can hit the ground. That's the 25,000 units of housing that we don't have money to do. So we are not proceeding with those. Okay, so that is the one that we are asking the federal and the provincial government to help us. And as you recall, the federal government said that they want, during the election period, they said they want to exempt 50% of development charges. And the provincial government also saying that we want you to not charge development and because it's too high. So we froze all the development charges. We are not moving them up. we cannot do the exemption ourselves.
So they're going to cover the exemptions. Is that kind of?
If they do it.
And if
They promised during the election period that they would do so, but they are now trying to work with us. They're working very hard. The housing minister is working hard. When I met with the Prime Minister, I relayed a message that we have all these applications, they are ready, shovel in the ground, but we just cannot proceed without their help.
Okay, and I apologize. I think I wasn't clear enough. I was really just more talking about the fourplexes, the sixplexes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's my apology, but I still have a minute and a half. So what is the foregone revenue for those?
It's very small because I'll give you an example. Councillor Meyer had a pilot in his project. For 5 months, no one applied in any sixplexes. In terms of fourplexes and laneway houses, in the last 3 years, it was only, I think, less than 500 units. So it's very small.
So it's not a very good, the idea of fourplexes and sixplexes isn't really that good of an idea?
No, it's a good idea. It's just the market right now is very tight. Homeowners are saying that the construction cost is high and that they have to hire planners and architects. So
last question, and that's fine, thank you.
We're making it easier and cheaper for them to do it.
Okay, no, that's fair. Do we have an upper limit for the number of units, like sixplexes, fourplexes that we're going to exempt? Because I know that the city manager always complains that development doesn't pay for development, and it seems like we're getting further and deeper in that hole. So the more, is there an upper limit to the number of units that we'll have to sort of say, hold on, we got to start collecting cash here?
Yeah, Councillor, if we see the market returning to good health, I will be the first one to come here and say, hey, let us re-examine this program. It's time to stop. Okay? Because it probably not within next year because the market may not pick up yet. It depends on the interest rate. I don't know. But I do not want to do this development charges exemption, but they're just not coming in. So it's money we're not collecting anyway. So we want some means to kickstart it because if not, construction workers are facing layoff. We really must get building happen.
Thank you. Councillor Turnus-Lynn, questions?
Thank you. I have a question for the mayor, and it really follows up on what my colleague Councillor Burnside was just asking about, because one of the things I noticed in your amendment is that you've removed the date at which these, like the forgiveness on, like, I think it was originally 2027 that it would expire in terms of waiving development charges, and that's been removed. So now there isn't really a check-in on that. It's just kind of in perpetuity unless we come back at council and make a different decision, which I know you've just said you're open to that down the road, but I guess I just wondered, like, why remove it at all? Why not keep that check-in?
What we can do is actually welcome an amendment to say that in each budget cycle, the city CFO report back on the viability of the program. Because during budget period, we look at every single dollar we can bring in, and what we are spending. So that kind of due diligence is happening anyway. But the reason why 2027 is taken out is because the market right now is frozen. People are not doing the kind of building we need them and we want them to build, and there's a great demand out there for building to happen. So we want to tell homeowners that please go and move ahead and approve. But if you want a report back on the financial implications, in the 2027 budget cycle? Absolutely, because this will impact on the 2026 budget cycle, right?
So I think that would be like as a friendly amendment. I would be.
It's very friendly.
Yeah, I would be happy to see something like that in it. And I say that because in the discussions we had about sixplexes, there were comments from staff about, you know, that they don't know the implications of, depending on how many are built, what that's going to mean in terms of water mains and all those kind of pieces. And that's really what helps pay for that. So I want to make sure we're watching this carefully.
We are watching it. Councillor, you may not remember, I don't know whether you're on council at this point, we froze the development charges. There's a development charges review, and that review is returning to City Council anyway, because we have frozen because usually each year it goes up by inflationary. And this year, because the market is just not very good, we froze it. So the development charge has not gone up. But the review continue, and it's going to come back to City Council. Exemption will be decided at that point. When the entire review are finished, so that we look at a comprehensive picture. How much do we put it up? Do we put it up by inflationary rate? Do we bring back a certain percentage or not? So that whole review is returning to City Council for conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Candavel, questions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and through you. In a similar vein to Councillor Chernos Lynn, Mayor, you referenced the sixplex offerings as being affordable, and I'm not sure. Just wanted to get some clarity, because I think from staff at PHC last month, I think these are obviously market rate offerings, but I just wanted to clarify your use of the word affordable.
The report tells us that the rent in sixplexes are cheaper, even almost $800 cheaper than if you go out and rent a condominiums. Now, this is their report, okay? And so the rent is a bit more affordable. But for a homeowner, like what the housing minister and others have been arguing with me, because I said that there are councillors here, just at last meeting, that are uncomfortable saying yes to sixplexes in their ward. Okay? And they're saying that if you allow them, it's financially more viable for homeowners to build sixplexes than fourplexes, because the more units you build is cheaper per unit, and you can get more rent back. Okay, so that was the argument that was given to me at the time from folks that are saying, Mayor, why aren't you using your strong mayor power to mandate that every ward in the city would say yes to sixplexes? And I said, well, we work in a democratic way in this council, and I respect different councils' opinion. Okay.
Fair enough. I think that's appropriate. And I think there was a bit of confusion and lack of clarity on how we traditionally use the word affordable, and then in the context of it being perhaps a cheaper market rate offering. But on the point of viability, I would imagine fourplexes offer more viability for family-friendly options versus a sixplex, because you're dealing with more GFA potentially.
Yeah, it depends on the lot. The one that I visited was at the corner lot. The lot is pretty big, and it fits right into the neighborhood. It's been there for many, many years. I spoke to someone that lived there for 10 years, and he said it's been here all this time. It's probably built in the 80s, or I don't know. But what we need to do is to make it more affordable for homeowners to build, okay? Whether it's garden laneway, or laneway houses, garden suite, or multiplex, or sixplex, whatever it is. So we are now designing models to say, hey, this is what it could look like, so that they don't necessarily need to get a planner to do it. Gotcha. They don't need to apply. So we're making it more affordable for them to build. And then once they build it, they will be able to charge less rent then the unit itself will be more affordable also to people renting it.
Gotcha. And lastly, I think perhaps, the data is limited with the existing fourplex stock, but I think I'd be curious, would you see there's value in, as, permissions in the kind of the 9 wards and we see them come online, would it be valuable to get kind of that rental, those rents, data on the rents coming out of? Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll be able to track whether the rent is in fact lower than what's happening in the condo market, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of condos, folks, that they purchase condos as an investment, they then rent it out, right? But the market right now, as you know, condominiums are they're not selling as well.
Yeah.
And is the rent going down? Yes, a bit. And, what is the level between condominiums versus these fourplexes or sixplexes home, right? We'll see. It would be great to do the comparison.
It would, because I would think, personally, I'd prefer a 1-bedroom in a fourplex than a 1-bedroom on the 30th floor, right? So
absolutely,
so
that's true. That's true, because you're closer to a neighbor. You know what I've noticed though, is also there's a family feeling that if there are 2 families living together, 3 families, and the person I spoke to, Sharon, with her dog Fox, was a single person, right? But because there are other people in the building, she felt, it's not a very big building, she feels that it helps her out, part of the family. She sits out in the front lawn and say hello to everybody passing by, and everybody knows her, because the time that I spent there was quite nice and very sweet, that she knows everybody, and she was sitting there. And I think as we have an aging society, for some of the seniors to be able to age at home and create more of a community among themselves so they can support each other, that would be, or even intergenerational, because we now have families that believe in grandkids living with grandma and the whole family, and so that. Oh, sorry. Okay, time.
Okay, Councillor Holiday, question.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Chow, you published some correspondence between you and Minister Robertson on one of the items. Why did you do that? Like, what compelled you to place these documents as appendix to these?
The Minister of Housing was on a radio station 2 days ago. I believe it was Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday, actually. And he talked about the letter that he has sent to us. And I wanted to make sure it's public.
Okay.
Because he talked about it publicly. And secondly, I see it as my duty to draft a letter on our behalf to say to him what we are doing with the Housing Accelerator funds, because each year we received $117 million, and we have now received 2 rounds of it. There are 2 more rounds to come, and it's important that we are very transparent in telling the federal government, here's how we're spending the money and here's what we are planning to do.
So in my questions to staff, I asked them precisely what is the wording of the commitment of the city under the Housing Accelerator Fund. And they did a little bit of digging and they figured out that in February of 2025, there was a sub-report to the multiplex study in Ward 23. And there's a chart in here, and it finally gives like really crisp information. And I can read 7.3. I'll just read the first few words. It's report back to council with opportunities and any bylaws required for implementation to permit more low-rise, multi-unit, on and on, sixplexes. And can you tell me, did you understand before this date that sixplexes were a commitment? Are you aware of anybody that committed anything more than what it says here? And finally, if this is the words of what our commitment is, to bring a report to council, have we not met that requirement as a city?
No, I am very, very aware of what kind of negotiation we've done. As you recall, in the early winter, There's a new Minister of Housing, Nate Erskine-Smith. At that time, we were due to receive our Housing Accelerator funds in December of 2024, and we didn't get that. So I was given a task to go and say to the federal minister, we need our second installment. And we were in a lot of negotiation. In fact, there were several meetings where your city manager and myself, with the minister and his deputy and the head of CMHC coming together. And in fact, we came together at Scarborough Civic Center, and we had a very long discussion. And they were going point by point by point. On the Housing Accelerator Fund, have you met this? Because there are 30 guidelines. There are 30 milestones. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done that? And this is the time when the sixplex came forward. As a result, that letter that we circulated at last council, it was given to us to say that you need to approve sixplexes. We will give you the funding now, because they were about to go into a federal election, okay? And I was quite concerned that we would not get the funding prior to the government going to election. So I said, we need the 117 million, which is what we are supposed to get in December of 2024, and please forward the funds. And they did. They signed a letter. They gave us the installment, the 117 million, with very clear goals.
So did you promise to approve sixplexes?
I did not promise anything. But what they did, though, in that letter, they said to us, if we're going to give you the money, this is what you need to do. They are the ones that provide the funds. It's not up to us to say, this is what we can or cannot do.
Did that letter come to council?
Yes, it was circulated at council last meeting.
Okay,
last meeting.
Okay, Councillor Holiday, that was your last question.
It was circulated.
We got the copy of the letter at the last council meeting. Okay, thank you.
Following the discussion, all three motions were passed by a majority vote, signaling strong support for the mayor's approach to tackling Toronto's housing crisis. Regent Park is no stranger to large-scale housing efforts. It's one of the city's most visible examples of redevelopment on public land. With the approval of the city's new housing plan, from concept to construction, creating more homes across the housing continuum, more purpose-built rentals and supportive housing units are expected across Toronto. The question for communities like Regent Park remains, will these policies translate into truly affordable homes, and will residents here be involved in shaping what's built?
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and visit us on all our social media platforms. Please visit our website for more information.